My name is Vivian Ndangoh. I titled my speech today as Black Life Reality. And I'm going to be speaking from the perspective of a public health nurse. Speaking from the perspective of a public health nurse, in all that we are facing as a country, what I see is the embodiment of a major American health problem, and that is racism. Racial health disparities are as old as they are new. They have been with us since the inception of this powerful nation. As a public health nurse, deaths in this country from COVID-19 among Blacks and other minorities are disproportionately high compared to our white counterparts. Paralyzing racism has left many Blacks and other minorities in a state of social helplessness and desperation as they continue to struggle to survive in a system that continues to undermine the values and worth of Blacks and other minorities. Somehow, we find reason to justify why they do not succeed and why they have poor health. We fail to consider that violence is a public health problem. Police brutality is a public health problem. Gun violence is a public health problem. Discrimination is a public health problem. Substandard education, my daughter mentioned, is a public health problem. Economic disparity is a public health problem. All this are the realities of a Black man, a Black woman, a Black child. The current climate in this country has been a time of national reckoning and soul searching. America's health providers must question why they are complicit in perpetuating racism, either in what they do or what they fail to do. As a nurse, I learned that healthcare is the largest industry in the United States and accounts for approximately 20% of the GDP of this country. That's about $4 trillion. Yet, health disparities are part of entrenched systemic racism in this country. My fellow Black brothers and sisters receive less and worse care than whites. This has remained unchanged for centuries. Blacks have worse outcomes than whites and other ethnicities in terms of cancer, heart disease, and many other major diseases. Blacks have a shorter life expectancy than whites. Blacks receive better care when they are seen by Black doctors. And guess how many percent are Black doctors? 5%. Among the Black population, there's a general distrust for the health industry in America. They will remember the history of immoral experiments perpetrated on them in the Tuskegee syphilis experiment, carried out by doctors on Black men for over 40 years in this country. Moreover, Blacks are cognizant of the countless forced sterilizations of thousands of Black and Hispanic women during the time of the Tuskegee experiment. They are not unmindful of the general neglect by medical researchers to seek cures for diseases such as sickle cell, which has a greater prevalence among African Americans. In every social determinant of health status, namely nutrition, genetics, housing, employment, education, clean water, safety, security, Blacks consistently are lagging behind. No one seems to talk about the epidemic of depression among the poor and minorities. Mental health conditions such as this are rooted in racism, discrimination, and marginalization, and need to be recognized as such. Rebuilding broken lives from healthcare injustices will require physician leadership. It will require leadership from our great nursing professionals and all components of our healthcare industry. Healthcare professionals must rebuild trust with the ones we serve. We must address the problematic numerical deficiencies in minority members within our professional units and ranks. A comprehensive engagement in building care for those living in the outskirts of hope requires a new paradigm in public health strategies that takes healthcare services to people in the community. Now is the moment for direct social and political advocacy. Now is the moment to be vocal advocates for the chronically disenfranchised. Now is the moment to engage legislators, law enforcement, state and federal leaders and agencies to address the multitude of social determinants impacting minority health care and status. We cannot remain on the sideline because our collective silence constitutes betrayal, complicity, and abandonment. I challenge all of us to speak the truth to power regarding the sin of racism and all its implications as stated. I challenge every major healthcare association to embrace a new normal by openly condemning racism and mapping an actionable strategy to address the plethora of public health challenges confronting the poor and the disenfranchised. Each one of us must challenge ourselves to live a legacy of compassion or compassionate activism. We must shed our protective coats and grab leadership banners now, leading the charge for creative social change in America. We cannot afford to stay muted and turn our backs to those in desperate need of our skills, of our compassion and understanding, for without our participation, our collective mission on this journey called life will become a travesty. There are millions of Black people and other minorities in this country who cry out every day for their mama, just like George Floyd did, of social privilege and political power, and nobody seems to hear their broken cries. 2,000 years ago, in the midst of severe pain, agony, and suffering, Jesus cried out at the 9th hour, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?" We must never lose the essence of the powerful metaphor that unfolded at an intersection in Minneapolis. Mr. Floyd was pleading with every one of us. The agony of his unanswered plea and supplication is deafening. The powerless amongst us are crying out to you. Yes, to you. Do we heed the muted cry of the poor minority children in a hostile world? Or do we condemn their failures without learning their pain? The final words of Mr. Floyd have an eerie familiarity to everybody who works in healthcare everywhere in the world. My stomach hurts. My neck hurts. Everything hurts. Don't kill me. I am pleading for the consciences of all of us to look at each one as one human race and show compassion for one another. Let us all put on our armor of citizen praxis, a point in time where we move from a point of reflection to a point of action. Thank you.